Hey, it's Vicky. And I got my pink cup, so you know what that means. It's time to do another episode of the 100 Epic Reads vlog series that I've been doing on my channel for a while now. This is a series where I have a poster that I have hanging here in my library that has 100 books on it that somebody said were epic and that should be read. And I decided to make a project out of it just because a lot of the books on the list are classics or books that are very unknown to me, and I thought it would just sort of broaden my horizons. And so I am to the point now in the poster where I only have 31 books left on the poster that I haven't read. So I have my cup because I wrote all the titles down and put them in this cup. And if you are new here and you don't know how this works, or if you need to be reminded, the way I do this is I pick 2 titles out of the cup for each episode, and I choose one to read, and then I vlog about it, give you my deep thoughts. It's usually a good time. This year, so far, I have read, the last vlog was A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving. The vlog before that was A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth, which was a behemoth of a book. And then I started out this year with this series by reading, I have to think, what did I read? 100 Years of Solitude. And so it's been an interesting mix. And the books are typically books I do enjoy. I do end up enjoying them. Throughout this series, I think there's only been 1, maybe 2, that I gave 2 stars to. So generally it goes pretty well for me. So without further ado, let's pick our picks and see what we're gonna be reading this time. I try to pick 2 different colors, and I don't know why I do that. So let's see. Let's do this yellowy orange color, and let's do a blue. All right. So the first pick. Let's go. Is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. So this is, if I remember, I don't know much about this book. Obviously I've heard of it, and I know there's a movie, and I believe it's kind of a sci-fi sort of story. Just kind of guessing by the title. But let's look it up on Storygraph and get some details to help aid in my decision. Okay, so The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a fairly short novel, which, as you guys know, this year, like I just said, Vikram Seth's book was 1,400 pages. A Prayer for Owen Meany was 600. So some of the books have been chunkier lately. So to see that this book is only 208 pages, or at least this edition that I'm looking up, that's great. And it was first published in 1979, and I thought, I don't know why, but I thought it was more modern than that. But okay, cool. On Storygraph, it has a 4.14 rating, so that's good. And let's read the synopsis. Seconds before Earth is demolished to make way for a galactic freeway, Arthur Dent is plucked off the planet by his friend Ford Prefect, a researcher for the revised edition of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, who, for the last 15 years, has been posing as an out-of-work actor. Together, this dynamic pair began a journey through space aided by a galaxy full of fellow travelers. Zaphod Beeblebrox, the 2-headed, 3-armed, ex-hippie and totally out-to-lunch president of the galaxy, Trillian, formerly Trisha McMillan, Zaphod's girlfriend, whom Arthur tried to pick up at a cocktail party once upon a time zone, that's fun. Marvin, a paranoid, brilliant, and chronically depressed robot, and Veet Vujagig, I don't know if I'm saying that right, a former graduate student obsessed with the disappearance of all the ballpoint pens he's bought over the years. Where are these pens? Why are we born? Why do we die? For all the answers, stick your thumb to the stars. Okay, so this sounds like it's gonna be funny, which is great. Yeah, I like it. It sounds very promising, but I have to see what the other pick is before I decide. So the next pick is Portnoy's Complaint by Philip Roth. Now this is a book I have never heard of. The title isn't ringing any bells. I know absolutely nothing. So, Storygraph, help me out. Okay, this one is also fairly short, 272 pages. It was published in 1969, so kind of around the same time as Hitchhiker's Guide. It has a 3.5 rating on Storygraph, so people don't seem to like it quite as much as The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But let's see what this book is about because I have no clue. Portnoy's Complaint, noun, after Alexander Portnoy, 1933 to a disorder in which strongly felt ethical and altruistic impulses are perpetually warring with extreme sexual longings, often of a perverse nature. Portnoy's Complaint tells the tale of young Jewish lawyer Alexander Portnoy and his scandalous sexual confessions to his psychiatrist. Ooh. As narrated by Portnoy, he takes the reader on a journey through his childhood to adolescence to present day while articulating his sexual desire, frustration, and neuroses in shockingly candid ways. Hysterically funny and daringly intimate, Portnoy's Complaint was an immediate bestseller upon its publication and elevated Roth to an international literary celebrity. So, it sounds like both choices are going to be more sort of funny and humorous. Dare I say lighthearted, which is nice because the last few, actually all of the books this year have actually been, I think, a little more dense, a little heavier. Even the themes and the plot and the topics have been a little more deep, a little heavier. So it's kind of nice that both of these choices seem to be just a little shorter, a little lighter, some funniness going on. So if I had to choose one though, I really feel like, oddly enough, the one that I'm vibing with the most right now is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, because it just sounds completely different from something I would normally read. I don't typically read a lot of science fiction, but this seems like it's the kind that I could definitely get behind because it's not too serious. My like non-sci-fi brain, I think, can handle it. And then it would be fun, I think, to also watch the movie and see what that's like. So, Portnoy's Complaint, I'm saving you for another day. He's going back in the cup. And we're gonna go with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So this one, I feel like it's probably pretty safe to try to physically read. It seems like it's not gonna be too difficult. I might also, though, who knows, try to get the audiobook because it sounds like it would also make a good quick audiobook. So I don't know yet. I gotta kind of think on that, decide what format I wanna go with, and once I get my hands on a copy, just like always, I will let you guys know and do my first check-in. So I have started The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Before I start talking, I do want to apologize for my voice. I have a cold that is just, I'm like losing my voice. But I wanted to film my initial check-in for this because I have reached the initial check-in point. Typically when I do these, I like to do an initial check-in at about 50 pages, but because this book is so short, it's only about 200 pages, I decided to do a check-in at 25 pages. And I also wanted to note that I'm using this really cute bookmark because it has to do with space. So I have this bookmark that has a cute little charm on it that is a astronaut. And it says, "Adventure awaits," which I feel like is really appropriate for this book. So in the opening 25 pages, which is about the first two chapters, you are introduced to Arthur Dent, who I believe is our main character, and he lives on the planet Earth. And he has a friend whose name is Ford Prefect, I think his name is, who isn't an Earthling. And Arthur is very upset because his house is about to be demolished for this like highway type thing to come in. He's very upset about it, and his friend Ford shows up and is like, "No, I have to talk to you, it's really important." And he's basically like, the world is gonna end today. And that's like the first 25 pages is Ford has this sort of I'm guessing like insider knowledge on this fact because he's not actually from Earth. He's been like posing as an Earthling for quite a few years. And it's because it sounds like it's because he's like trapped on the planet. Like he got here somehow and hasn't been able to leave. So far, I really like it. I think it's really funny. Like it has the type of humor in it that I just really like. The dialogue is good. The sort of bantering between characters is really good. And it seems like, and I liked how it kind of just starts. Like you're just like 25 pages in and it's like, oh yeah, the Earth's gonna end today. What are we gonna do? So that's about where I'm at. There isn't really a whole lot more to say. Other than, yeah, I like the writing. I like the two characters. I think Arthur is interesting. Ford seems cool, funny. I'm excited to see where it's gonna go, what other type of characters we're gonna meet, because I'm assuming, because I don't really remember much about the plot of this, like the synopsis. It's been a while since I like filmed the intro to this vlog where I like picked this book, and I haven't really reviewed the synopsis since then. But I'm assuming that throughout this book, they're going to travel around the galaxy and meet different people. And I'm excited about that. I think it's gonna be fun. And it's kind of nice to be reading this right now because I've been reading a lot of like supernatural stuff and horror and dark stuff, you know, with Halloween and everything. So I feel like this is kind of a nice change of pace and something also that I don't typically read ever. So I'm excited. So I'm gonna keep reading and hopefully get rid of this cold so that the next time I talk to you, I don't sound like this. So I'm in my basement, I'm packing up. You can see all my Halloween decorations because Halloween is over, sadly. So I'm packing everything up and it always just makes me a little sad. Yes, so I figured while I'm trying to pack this stuff up, I would give you my thoughts on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because I have reached the halfway point. And yeah, this is very much an adventure story. You have these two people traveling across the galaxy in various ways and meeting interesting people. Isn't this a cute pillow? I bought this pillow because I wanted to put it on my reading chair in my library, but Morgan would not leave this pillow alone. I think it was the tassels. So it sat on my bookshelf instead. Anyway, I digress. We're talking about Hitchhiker's Guide, not Halloween stuff. So anyways, so you're meeting like interesting people that they come across on their adventure. And so it's perilous because they're not really sure where they're going. They were just trying to get away from Earth because Earth was being, what did they call it? Basically it was being destroyed. It was blew up. Like Earth is gone. And so they really had no plan. It was like, we just have to get out of here before the planet is destroyed. So now they're just trying to go in wherever. And so it's, even though it's perilous, it's funny. They have some interesting conversations. The characters are interesting. And I have to say though, this is where I struggle with sci-fi. Sometimes the sci-fi talk, just, my brain cannot compute. And so there are parts in this where they're talking about time, not only time, they're talking about probability and odds. And my brain just wasn't picking it up, really. So that's bound to happen, I think, for me, when I'm reading a sci-fi story, is that there are just gonna be things that my brain just isn't gonna process, and I kind of have to just let it go and just carry on with the story, let the story carry me, try not to think too much about it, and just go from there. So other than that, there aren't a lot of thoughts going on other than that I just think it's interesting that the story has such a funny side to it when in reality the situation isn't that funny. So, and I know that this is also a series that I think there's 2 or 3 other books after this one. And I think like right now, if you were to ask me, are you gonna continue the series? No, but we'll see. So I'm not hating it, but there are parts that I'm not quite understanding, but I'm enjoying just the adventure of it all and the funny banter and that sort of thing. So I'm just gonna keep going. I only have another 100 pages to go, so lucky for me, it's not super long, so it shouldn't be that challenging to finish the book. Alright, so I finished The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it landed at a 3-star for me, which I'm not entirely surprised by because sci-fi is typically a genre that I do not gravitate towards, and this sort of proved to me why. Although this, I think, in terms of sci-fi, it's very it is very like approachable. It's kind of light, but even for my brain, there were definitely parts of this that just completely went over my head, and it was the sci-fi-ness of it all. I did enjoy the humor. I thought that it had a great mix. It had a very adventurous sort of story. I think the sort of last 40 to 50 pages were probably my favorite because it sort of picked up, and I was starting to feel like, what's the point of this book? And the last part of it does sort of give you more of an explanation as to why Earth was demolished and what's, kind of happening going forward. So you get a little bit of an explanation, but there were still parts that just did not stick. I even tried to watch the movie, which the movie came out quite a few years ago. I didn't realize that the movie was as old as it is. It was made in 2005, I think. It was good, except I sort of tuned out with the movie as well. So I don't know what that means. It didn't really hold my interest, and I was sort of hoping to, right after finishing the book to watch the movie to sort of get a better like visual. Because some of the stuff in the book, the way it was described, I was like, I really want to see this visually. And hopefully I can process it better. But unfortunately the movie also, I sort of lost interest, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, this is a 3-star book. I'm definitely not going to read the rest of the books in the series. I think there's 3 or 4. I didn't mind this though. Like I said, it was entertaining, it was funny, it was short, so it's not like it took a lot of my time to read this book. Why is it on the 100 epic reads list? I'm not really sure, honestly, other than I think because of the time it was published. It was published in the 70s. It was published in 1979. And maybe at that point, there just hadn't been a book like this. There had been plenty of sci-fi stories, but nothing quite like this, where it had this level of comedy and also some of the themes in regard to sort of nature's biggest questions, like why are we here and what is the purpose of the planet Earth and all that sort of thing. They're sort of deep questions, and they sort of are touched on in this. Maybe that's why it's on the list. That's all I can figure. So yeah, I definitely would not have picked this up on my own. So I do appreciate that it sort of broadened my horizons. It got me outside my comfort zone, and I didn't entirely hate it. So all in all, I can't really complain. All right, guys, so that is going to do it for the episodes for 2023 for the 100 Epic Reads vlog series. So I do plan to do this next year also. I might even try to do a few more because I am definitely getting to where I'm getting kind of close to finishing the poster. So I want to try to do more of these so I can finish the poster, but we'll see. So yes, look for more of these vlogs in 2024 because it's definitely a series I'm going to keep doing. And yeah, if you have read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, let me know what you thought about it. And I think that's it. I feel like this hasn't been a very eventful vlog, or I didn't have a lot of deep thoughts about this, but it just didn't really get my brain going, I guess. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will chat with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.